In a world where distractions pull men in every direction, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Chasing after temporary attention often leads to heartbreak, wasted time, and compromised values. Islam teaches men to honor themselves, guard their dignity, and approach relationships with sincerity and purpose. This message is not about rejecting love, but about pursuing it the right way. Through the blessed bond of Nikah, true strength is in self-controlled discipline, and trusting Allah's timing for the right partner. When a man chooses to stop chasing fleeting beauty, and instead focus on lasting character and faith, he is making a decision that shapes the very foundation of his future. The allure of physical beauty is undeniable. It captures attention, excites emotions, and creates a temporary sense of attraction. But beauty alone is like a flower in full bloom that eventually fades. It cannot sustain a lifetime of companionship, respect, or trust. In today's age where society glorifies appearance over substance, many men fall into the trap of running after women solely based on looks, only to find themselves disillusioned when the reality of a shallow connection sets in. What Islam teaches, and what wisdom confirms, is that the outer appearance may attract the eye, but it is the inner character grounded in piety and good morals that captures the heart and sustains the bond for a lifetime. Lasting character is about honesty, patience, kindness, humility, and a sense of responsibility. These qualities will remain when youth fades and beauty changes. Faith, on the other hand, is the anchor that keeps a relationship steady when trials come, because a woman who fears Allah will respect her husband, protect her home, and remain loyal regardless of circumstances. When a man seeks such a woman, he is not just looking for a partner in the worldly sense, but for someone who will be his companion in both this life and the next. Chasing beauty often comes with a hidden cost. It can lead to compromises in values, unnecessary emotional entanglements, and sometimes even the neglect of one's own goals and responsibilities. When a man spends his time chasing, he is often in a position of desperation, giving his energy away without receiving the respect or commitment that he deserves. On the other hand, when he focuses on developing himself, aligning his goals with the teachings of Islam, and seeking a partner based on taqwa and character, he naturally commands more respect. Women of true worth are drawn to men of vision, integrity, and faith, not to those who appear desperate for attention. This is why the Prophet Muhammad advised that when choosing a spouse, one should prioritize religion, because a woman with strong faith will uphold her commitments, nurture her family with love and sincerity, and support her husband in fulfilling his duties to Allah. A man who chases fleeting beauty is like a traveler who spends all his provisions on glittering but useless trinkets, only to find himself empty-handed when he reaches his destination. But the man who invests in finding a partner of good character and faith is like a farmer planting seeds in fertile soil, knowing that the harvest will be abundant and long-lasting. The world is full of people who look good on the outside but are empty within, and if a man builds his future with someone based solely on external appearance, he risks building on unstable ground. But if he seeks a woman whose character is defined by honesty, modesty, compassion, and fear of Allah, he is securing a foundation that can withstand the storms of life. Beauty can be a blessing, but it should never be the sole criterion. It should be appreciated when it comes alongside character and piety. In fact, when a man values these inner qualities above all, beauty becomes more radiant because it is accompanied by a soul that shines with sincerity and righteousness. Many marriages have been destroyed because the focus was only on appearance, neglecting the deeper compatibility that comes from shared values and faith. But marriages built on mutual respect, shared religious commitment, and good character not only endure but grow stronger with time. This shift in mindset requires a man to look beyond surface level attraction and instead train his heart and mind to recognize the qualities that truly matter. It also demands patience, because finding someone of strong faith and good character is not as quick or as easy as chasing beauty. However, the reward is far greater. A home filled with peace, a relationship rooted in trust, and a companionship that draws both husband and wife closer to Allah. Choosing to focus on lasting character and faith is not about ignoring beauty altogether, but about placing it in its proper place as a complement, not the foundation, of a relationship. It is about aligning one's priorities with the divine guidance that leads to real happiness, rather than following the shallow standards of a society that often confuses lust with love. When a man embraces this wisdom, he is no longer chasing, he is attracting, by becoming the kind of person who naturally draws the right partner into his life. This is the mindset that frees him from unnecessary heartache, protects his dignity, and sets him on a path toward a marriage that will be both fulfilling in this world and rewarding in the hereafter. When a man makes the conscious choice to guard his time, energy, and dignity, he is acknowledging the immense value Allah has placed upon him and the responsibility he carries to use his resources wisely. Time is one of the most precious blessings given to us, and once it is spent, it can never be regained. Many men waste years chasing after people or things that bring no lasting benefit, investing their emotions, efforts, and resources into pursuits that distract them from their true purpose. When a man allows his time to be consumed by meaningless interactions or relationships with no intention of marriage or no alignment with his faith, he diminishes his potential for growth and achievement. Every minute he spends entertaining temporary desires could have been used to build his skills, strengthen his faith, improve his health, or work toward his long-term goals. Guarding his time means recognizing that not everyone and not everything deserves access to it. His schedule should reflect his priorities, and his priorities should be rooted in what pleases Allah. Energy is another invaluable resource, both physical and emotional. Constantly chasing attention or trying to impress women in ways that go beyond respectful and halal interactions drains a man of the mental clarity he needs to focus on his personal development. Emotional energy is depleted when a man invests himself in people who are not committed to him, and physical energy is wasted when he spends his days running after validation instead of building himself into a stronger, wiser, and more capable individual. When his energy is guarded, he can channel it into activities that benefit his deen, his career, his physical health, and his family responsibilities. Guarding dignity is perhaps the most important aspect of all, because once dignity is lost, it is extremely difficult to reclaim. A man's dignity is tied to his self-respect, and self-respect is built by living in a way that is consistent with his principles. When he refuses to beg for attention, when he does not compromise his values for fleeting approval, and when he remains steadfast in his beliefs even when tempted by the world, he preserves an honor that others will naturally respect. Islam teaches that dignity is a gift from Allah, and that a believer should never lower himself to actions that diminish it. This includes avoiding relationships that are haram, steering clear of situations where his modesty or values could be compromised, and not allowing himself to be manipulated by emotional games or superficial charm. A man who guards his time, energy, and dignity understands that his worth does not come from how many women he can attract or impress, but from the life he builds, the character he develops, and the service he renders to Allah and those entrusted to his care. He knows that constantly chasing attention makes him appear desperate and unsettled, whereas being selective with his interactions shows that he values himself and what he stands for. It also sends a message to others that if they wish to be a part of his life, they must bring respect, commitment, and sincerity. This approach also transforms the way he is perceived. In a society where many men are distracted and easily led astray by superficial pursuits, a man who maintains control over his time and energy stands out as disciplined, grounded, and purposeful. Women of good character are drawn to men who know their worth and protect it, because it shows stability and leadership, qualities essential for a strong and lasting marriage. When a man honors himself, he sets the standard for how others will treat him. Guarding these three resources also means being intentional with relationships. Rather than entertaining casual conversations or unnecessary emotional connections, a man should be clear in his purpose. If his goal is marriage, his interactions should reflect that intention from the start. This prevents heartbreak, avoids wasted years, and ensures that any relationship he enters into has the potential to bring barakah into his life. It also spares him from the cycle of giving too much to people who are not willing or able to reciprocate in a meaningful way. On a deeper level, guarding time, energy, and dignity is a form of self-discipline that strengthens his relationship with Allah. When a man prioritizes his salah, his Quran, his self-improvement, and his responsibilities over chasing temporary pleasures, he not only grows in worldly success but also earns Allah's pleasure. This kind of man becomes trustworthy, dependable, and respected in his community, and his reputation becomes one of integrity rather than recklessness. Even in the face of temptation, a man who values himself enough to protect his dignity will find strength in the remembrance of Allah, and the awareness that every action is being recorded. He will resist lowering his standards for short-term gratification, because he understands that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with his faith and purpose. The world may encourage recklessness, but a man of discipline knows that every moment, every bit of energy, and every aspect of his honor is too valuable to waste. When a man makes it his mission to build himself spiritually, mentally, and financially before marriage, he is laying the groundwork for a life that is stable, purposeful, and pleasing to Allah. Marriage is not simply about companionship or fulfilling desires, it is a sacred covenant, a responsibility that demands maturity, resilience, and the ability to lead a household with wisdom and integrity. Spiritual growth comes first because it shapes the way a man approaches every other aspect of life. A man grounded in faith understands his duties to Allah, his obligations toward his spouse, and the importance of maintaining a home based on Islamic values. He prioritizes salah, engages with the Quran regularly, seeks knowledge about the deen, and surrounds himself with people who remind him of Allah. This spiritual foundation becomes his compass, guiding him in moments of difficulty, helping him resist temptation, and keeping his intentions pure in both courtship and marriage. Mental growth is equally vital, because a man must have the emotional intelligence and stability to navigate the challenges that come with building a life with another person. Marriage is not free from disagreements, stress, or unexpected trials, and without mental strength, a man may find himself reacting with anger, frustration, or withdrawal instead of patience and problem solving. Developing mental resilience means learning to control one's emotions, practicing empathy, listening with understanding, and communicating in a way that fosters unity instead of division. It also means cultivating discipline, the ability to stay focused on long-term goals despite distractions or difficulties. This level of mental maturity allows a man to be a source of security for his wife and children, rather than a cause of instability. Financial readiness is another crucial pillar, because marriage involves not only emotional and spiritual responsibilities but also practical ones. While sustenance comes from Allah, Islam teaches that a man is the provider for his family, and it is his duty to ensure that his household has what it needs. This does not mean he must be wealthy before marriage, but he should at least have a stable means of income, a plan for growth, and the ability to manage his resources wisely. Financial preparedness also means avoiding unnecessary debt, resisting wasteful spending, and living within one's means so that the family can thrive without the constant stress of financial strain. A man who is financially stable enters marriage with confidence, knowing he can fulfill his obligations without resentment or pressure. Balancing these three areas of growth requires patience and intentional effort. A man cannot expect to become the ideal husband overnight. Instead, he must commit himself to a continuous process of self-improvement. This might mean spending years building a career or business, dedicating daily time to Quran and prayer, reading books that expand his understanding, and seeking mentors who can guide him both in faith and in life skills. It means learning to manage time effectively, setting priorities that align with long-term success, and resisting the urge to rush into marriage before he is truly ready. This preparation is not only for his own benefit, but also for the woman he will eventually marry. A wife deserves a husband who can lead with compassion, provide with diligence, and inspire through his example. When a man invests in himself before marriage, he brings to the relationship not just love, but stability, direction, and the ability to nurture a healthy, God-centered home. Without this preparation, even the most loving relationships can crumble under the weight of unaddressed weaknesses, financial stress, or spiritual neglect. Building oneself spiritually, mentally, and financially also earns respect from others. Women of good character are drawn to men who are grounded, capable, and dependable. Family members, friends, and community leaders are more likely to support a marriage when they see that the man has put in the work to become a responsible and honorable partner. This respect extends beyond marriage as well, because a man who is disciplined in these areas will also excel in his career, his community involvement, and his personal goals. Moreover, this process of preparation trains a man to be patient and to trust in Allah's timing. Instead of rushing into marriage out of loneliness or societal pressure, he learns to focus on becoming the best version of himself, so that when the right woman comes along, he is ready to fulfill his role fully. This mindset protects him from making decisions based on desperation or infatuation, which often lead to regret. By prioritizing self-development, he positions himself to enter marriage as a giver rather than a taker, contributing to the union rather than relying solely on his spouse for happiness or stability. In the long run, the effort he invests before marriage pays off in every aspect of life. Spiritually, he has the tools to lead his family toward Allah's pleasure. Mentally, he has the strength to weather challenges without breaking the bond of unity. Financially, he has the means to provide, protect, and plan for the future. This holistic preparation makes marriage a source of peace and growth, rather than stress and disappointment, because both husband and wife can rely on the strong foundation he has built within himself. Letting Allah guide you to the right woman through patience and prayer is an act of faith that reflects complete trust in His wisdom and timing. In a world that constantly encourages people to take matters into their own hands and rush decisions based on emotions, appearance, or societal pressure, it can feel difficult to wait for Allah's plan to unfold. Yet, this waiting is not passive, it is an active process of aligning your heart, actions, and intentions with what pleases Him. When a man surrenders his desire to control every detail and instead seeks Allah's guidance, he acknowledges that only Allah knows what is truly best for him, both in this world and the next. Through prayer, especially through Salat al-Istikhara, he opens himself to divine direction, trusting that Allah will place in his path the person who will be a source of tranquility, mercy, and companionship in accordance with the Qur'anic description of marriage. Patience in this process is more than just waiting for time to pass. It is about resisting the temptation to settle for less than what is right. Many people make hasty choices out of fear of being alone, or because they feel pressured by family, friends, or society. This impatience often leads to regret, as they discover later that the relationship lacks the foundation of shared faith, values, and long-term compatibility. True patience means being willing to say no to situations or people that do not align with your deen, even if they seem appealing in the moment. It means trusting that Allah's timing is perfect, and that every delay has a purpose, whether to strengthen your own character, prepare you for future responsibilities, or protect you from harm you cannot yet see. Prayer is the lifeline in this journey. When a man consistently turns to Allah in dua, asking for guidance, clarity, and the right spouse, he keeps his heart connected to the source of all wisdom. Dua is not just a request, it is a declaration of humility, acknowledging that without Allah's help, even the best intentions can go astray. The Prophet Muhammad had taught believers to seek Allah's help in all matters, and choosing a spouse is among the most important decisions a person will ever make. When a man prays for a righteous wife, he is not only asking for someone who will make him happy, but someone who will help him become a better servant of Allah. This reliance on Allah also brings peace of mind. Instead of being consumed by anxiety over when and how he will meet the right woman, the man who trusts Allah can focus his energy on becoming the right man. He works on his deen, strengthens his character, and fulfills his responsibilities, knowing that these efforts will naturally attract a righteous partner when the time is right. He does not need to chase or manipulate situations, because he believes that what is meant for him will never miss him, and what is not meant for him will never reach him. Letting Allah guide you also involves being attentive to signs and opportunities He places in your life. Sometimes, the right person comes in an unexpected way or through channels you did not anticipate, such as a family introduction, a community event, or a recommendation from a trusted friend. By keeping your heart open and your intentions pure, you allow yourself to recognize when Allah is presenting a potential spouse who meets the criteria of faith, good character, and compatibility. This does not mean abandoning effort. It means combining effort with reliance on Allah, doing your part while trusting Him to do His. The beauty of this approach is that it aligns your desires with your faith. Instead of being led by fleeting attraction or worldly status, you are guided by the principles that ensure a marriage will last and bring blessings. You are looking for a partner who will remind you of Allah, support you in obedience to Him, and stand by you in both ease and hardship. This focus protects you from being distracted by qualities that may be appealing in the short term, but offer no true benefit in the long run. Patience and prayer also strengthen your ability to handle the waiting period without falling into haram actions. When you are committed to letting Allah guide you, you are less likely to engage in casual relationships, unnecessary mixing, or compromising situations, because you know these will not lead to the kind of marriage you seek. This discipline not only protects your faith, but also preserves your dignity and emotional well-being. When the right woman does arrive, the man who has been patient and prayerful will recognize her value more deeply, because he has been preparing for her in every way. Their relationship will start on a foundation of mutual respect, shared faith, and a deep understanding that Allah brought them together for a reason. This awareness adds strength to the marriage, because both partners see their union as a divine gift and a trust to be honored. The process of waiting with patience and seeking Allah's guidance is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It teaches a man to trust more, to act with wisdom, and to value his future wife not just for what she offers him, but for how she helps him fulfill his purpose as a servant of Allah. Approaching relationships only through the halal path of Nikah is a principle that safeguards not only a man's faith but also his dignity, emotional well-being, and future stability. In a world where casual relationships, dating culture, and unrestricted interactions have become normalized, it takes courage and conviction to commit to the boundaries set by Allah. The path of Nikah is not just a formality or a tradition, it is an act of obedience to Allah, and a way to ensure that love, companionship, and intimacy are rooted in purity and mutual respect. When a man chooses this path, he is making a statement that his life, his relationships, and his heart are to be governed by the principles of Islam, rather than the fleeting standards of society. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized that marriage is half of one's faith, which means the way a man enters into it matters greatly. Choosing Nikah as the only way to pursue a woman shows that he values not only his own spiritual health but also hers, protecting both from falling into sin. This commitment to the halal way protects the relationship from the harms that come with unlawful interactions. Without the structure of Nikah, many relationships become unstable. lacking the accountability and seriousness that marriage provides. Feelings may be strong at first, but without a binding commitment, people are free to walk away at any time, often leaving behind emotional wounds, broken trust, and regret. Nikah, on the other hand, creates a foundation where both parties understand that they have rights and responsibilities toward each other, where love is not based solely on emotions but on a covenant made before Allah. This seriousness encourages both to work through challenges, grow together, and support one another in fulfilling their duties as husband and wife. Approaching a woman only through nikah also ensures that the process of getting to know her is done with modesty, respect, and within the limits that Allah has set. Instead of engaging in prolonged private conversations, secret meetings, or physical intimacy before marriage, the man seeks to involve the family and keep the process transparent. This not only prevents misunderstandings and temptation but also brings blessings into the union because it follows the sunnah. The involvement of family and community elders adds wisdom, guidance, and a layer of protection against making hasty or ill-informed decisions. Furthermore, the halal path strengthens trust between both partners. A woman who sees that a man is willing to approach her only through nikah knows that he is serious, respectful, and committed to doing things the right way. She understands that his interest is not rooted in temporary attraction or selfish desires, but in a genuine wish to build a life together. This trust becomes the backbone of the marriage, allowing them to face life's challenges without the constant fear of betrayal or hidden intentions. By committing to nikah as the only way, a man also protects his reputation and avoids unnecessary drama or gossip. In many cases, relationships outside of marriage become public, leading to rumors, judgment, and sometimes even shame for both parties. Keeping interactions halal shields him from these situations and ensures that his name remains respected within his family, community, and among potential in-laws. It also sets a powerful example for others, showing that it is possible to maintain self-control and uphold Islamic values even in a society that promotes the opposite. The halal path also fosters emotional stability. In harem relationships, emotions often run high but lack the grounding of responsibility and long-term vision. There is a constant fear of the relationship ending abruptly, leading to insecurity, jealousy, and stress. But when a man seeks a woman through nikah, the relationship begins with the assurance that both are committed to building something lasting. This stability allows love to grow in a safe environment, free from the instability of casual connections. Choosing nikah from the start also aligns the relationship with divine blessings. Allah has promised to aid those who marry with the intention of protecting their chastity and fulfilling their religious obligations. This means that when challenges arise, whether financial, emotional, or otherwise, the couple can rely on Allah's help and mercy. Their marriage becomes more than a personal choice, it becomes an act of worship, a means of earning reward, and a shield against sin. Moreover, approaching relationships only through nikah requires a man to be intentional about his readiness for marriage. It pushes him to ensure that he is spiritually, mentally, and financially prepared before pursuing a woman. This preparation benefits the marriage itself, as he comes into it equipped to lead, provide, and support his wife in all aspects of life. It also prevents him from wasting time in relationships that have no real future, allowing him to focus on those that align with his long-term vision. In addition, this approach removes unnecessary distractions from his life. Without being entangled in harem interactions, he has more time and energy to dedicate to personal growth, career goals, family responsibilities, and worship. He is not constantly consumed by the ups and downs of uncommitted relationships, but is instead free to work toward the kind of life and character that will naturally attract the right spouse. The halal path of nikah also preserves the sacredness of intimacy. In Islam, physical closeness between a man and a woman is a gift meant to be enjoyed within the bounds of marriage, where it is not only permissible but also an act of love and worship. When this intimacy is experienced for the first time in marriage, it becomes a special bond that strengthens the emotional and spiritual connection between husband and wife. On the other hand, engaging in it outside of marriage often brings guilt, regret, and the erosion of trust, which can damage future relationships. By insisting on nikah as the only path, a man also guards his future family. Relationships that begin in haram often carry the baggage of mistrust, jealousy, or unresolved guilt, which can impact the marriage later. But when the foundation is pure, the couple can start their life together without such burdens, focusing instead on building a home filled with peace, love, and faith. This pure start becomes a source of barakah for their children, who are raised in an environment that reflects Islamic values from the beginning. Ultimately, committing to the halal path of nikah is a reflection of a man's discipline, self-respect, and reliance on Allah's wisdom. It requires him to rise above the norms of society, to exercise patience, and to trust that what is meant for him will come to him without having to compromise his faith. It is not the easier path in today's world, but it is the one that promises lasting happiness, divine reward, and a marriage built on the unshakable foundation of obedience to Allah. Your value increases when you focus on purpose, not pursuit, because the energy you pour into chasing validation, attention, or relationships is energy that could have been used to build yourself into a man of substance, vision, and influence. In a world where many measure their worth by how many people notice them, follow them, or desire them, it is easy to get caught up in a cycle of constantly seeking approval from others. But this cycle often leads to emptiness, because external validation is fleeting, unpredictable, and beyond your control. When a man decides to shift his focus from the pursuit of people to the pursuit of purpose, he takes back control over his time, his mindset, and his future. Purpose gives direction to every action, clarity to every decision, and meaning to every effort, making a man's life not just busy but impactful. Focusing on purpose means identifying the mission Allah has placed on your life, the combination of your faith, talents, responsibilities, and opportunities, and dedicating yourself to fulfilling it. When you live for something greater than yourself, you no longer feel desperate for the attention of others, because your sense of worth comes from the progress you are making toward your goals, and the alignment of your life with the values you hold. This mindset makes you magnetic, because people are naturally drawn to individuals who are driven, disciplined, and confident in their direction. You are no longer chasing anyone, instead, you are attracting the right people into your life as a byproduct of who you are becoming. When you prioritize purpose over pursuit, you also free yourself from the emotional rollercoaster of chasing relationships that have no real foundation. Constantly trying to win someone over or keep their interest often requires compromising your time, your dignity, and sometimes even your beliefs. But when your primary goal is to fulfill your God-given mission, you naturally filter out distractions that do not align with your path. This doesn't mean you ignore relationships, rather, it means you approach them intentionally, ensuring they contribute to your growth and values rather than pulling you away from them. A man who is purpose-driven carries himself differently. His time is valuable because it is dedicated to meaningful work, learning, worship, and self-improvement. He is not easily swayed by trends, temptations, or the opinions of others, because he knows exactly where he is going. This kind of stability and self-assurance commands respect, not just from women but from family, friends, and the community at large. People look to him as someone who can lead, solve problems, and make a difference, not because he talks about his worth, but because his actions reflect it consistently. Focusing on purpose also forces you to develop qualities that make you more valuable in every area of life. To pursue your mission, you must learn discipline, time management, resilience, and the ability to overcome setbacks. These skills naturally spill over into relationships, making you a more dependable partner, a more supportive friend, and a more capable leader. This growth is attractive to people of substance, because they see that you are building a life of stability and vision, not just drifting aimlessly from one interest to the next. The shift from pursuit to purpose also transforms how you handle rejection or delays. When your self-worth is tied to whether or not someone chooses you, rejection can feel devastating. But when your identity is grounded in your mission, you see rejection not as a reflection of your value, but as a redirection towards something better aligned with your path. This allows you to move forward without bitterness, staying focused on the bigger picture rather than getting stuck in temporary disappointments. Purpose-driven living also strengthens your relationship with Allah, because fulfilling your mission requires His guidance, blessings, and support. You begin to see your talents and opportunities as trusts from Him, meant to be used in service to something greater. Your dua becomes less about asking for people to like you and more about asking for the strength, wisdom, and resources to complete the work He has assigned to you. This spiritual alignment not only increases your sense of peace, but also ensures that the people who do enter your life are those who are meant to walk alongside you in fulfilling your purpose. Another benefit of focusing on purpose is that it builds long-term legacy. Chasing people brings short-term gratification but leaves nothing lasting behind. Purpose, however, produces results that outlive you. Whether it's the impact you have on others, the family you raise, the knowledge you share, or the good deeds you leave behind. This legacy becomes a source of ongoing reward in the hereafter, far outweighing the fleeting satisfaction of winning temporary attention. Living with purpose also makes you more content in your own company. Instead of feeling empty when alone, you use solitude to plan, create, learn, and worship. This independence is powerful, because it means you do not need someone else to complete you. You are already whole, and any relationship you enter is a partnership of two complete individuals supporting each other's missions. This is the kind of dynamic that leads to healthy, lasting marriages, because both partners bring value, vision, and balance to the union. Your value increases because you are no longer defined by who you can catch, but by what you can contribute. Society may try to convince men that their worth lies in their ability to attract women or gain followers. But the truth is that real worth is found in living a life that matters. When you dedicate yourself to becoming the best version of yourself spiritually, mentally, and practically, the right opportunities, people, and blessings will come naturally, without the need for desperate pursuit. By choosing purpose over pursuit, you position yourself not only for personal success but for a life filled with meaning, respect, and divine approval.